All right, thank you so much for your patience. We are going to get started now. All right, so welcome to our think tank today. We are looking forward to, really connecting education to design and engineering software. So we will be going over the agenda for today. We're going to do just a quick introduction to BAKERBAYNES, who we are, and then go into the purpose of this event. We do have a speaker with us today, Simon Bromfield from Autodesk. We will go through what is Autodesk and what Autodesk has to offer in the educational space. We will be going over what CAD learning is and how it can benefit you as an educational institution, a bit about Autodesk certification, the authorized training center that we offer here at BAKERBAYNES, and then we're going to jump into our main section of the discussion, which is the think tank discussion. Then we're going to end off with a conclusion, and then of course a call to action. So I am now going to hand it over to Richard, who is our Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer. He will just be going over the purpose of today's event and then, of course, introducing you to BAKERBAYNES.
The story of my life is about trying to find a mute button. Good morning, everyone. The next task for me is to find my camera button. There we go. Okay, so good morning. Thanks very much for joining us and for giving us your time today. The purpose of this event is to bring together the educational institutions to try to figure out what challenges they face in the technology space. From an Autodesk perspective, things have changed over the years. Many years ago, there used to be an education-only partner, and we didn't want to go to market assuming we understand your problems. We wanted to spend some time to get to understand who you are first and understand your problems before we try to propose solutions. So we would encourage you to share your thoughts and engage in discussion at the relevant points in the presentation. And I would ask you to consider what is it that you'd like to take away from today's event. I think we will have, as with all of us, given the amount of online meetings that we all face, we might have some people drifting in and out of today's session. So I'm not going to ask each of you to consider, to verbally share what you'd like to take out from today's event, but please feel free to use the chat box accordingly. So a little bit more, of course, lastly, students, if there are any students who are attending, we're grateful for your attendance. However, we haven't specifically targeted this event towards students at this point. It is still about trying to understand what the lecturers and academic staff's requirements are and the requirements of the education institution. So feel free to watch and listen and learn, but if I can ask you to just refrain from engagement from a student perspective. So with that said, a little bit more about BAKERBAYNES. Today is actually an exciting day for us. It's our 7th birthday. And over the last 7 years, we have worked to help solve our customers' problems through digital transformation to help them design and make a better world. That for us is what we wake up and breathe every single day. Where sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't, but it's certainly something that keeps us going and also keeps our customers going. In terms of the organization itself, there's 4 main components. I'm not going to talk a long time about the company, but this just gives you a little bit of background. The first component is around business process improvement, and that's where we help our customers solve their problems using our consulting methodology. On the right, we now have survey and design hardware consultancy. That's where we make use of some hardware to scan an as-built environment and figure out what that looks like from a BIM perspective. Then obviously everyone knows that we're predominantly a design software consultancy, and that's our roots are in Autodesk Software. However, We have a variety of Autodesk-centric brands that we support, and we're not just those people who can provide you with technology. Basically, it's the point I'm making there. Lastly, we're a blended learning provider, and we were the first partner in the country to be a blended learning provider. And what that means is we have an online learning portal as well as a face-to-face training solution for those companies or those institutions and people wanting to embark on an Autodesk journey. The reason why I'm giving you an overview like this is to give you an understanding that, you know, we understand the Autodesk environment well, but we're having today's session to understand the educational environment better. Today is also quite exciting because we have Simon Bromfield, who's the channel manager from Autodesk. Now, it's a lesser known fact that Autodesk have some, or actually a wide variety of resources for an educational environment, but not everyone knows how does this work. We wanted to spend the first part of the presentation showing you and talking to you about what is currently available. Then we're going to talk about, you know, what challenges have you faced and how do you overcome those challenges, and then we're going to close. So the first part of the presentation is around what's available currently, and I'm going to hand over to Simon, who is going to take us through Autodesk's vision for education.
Hey guys, thank you very much for that, and congratulations to Richard and the team. You've done an incredible job there. Am I allowed to share screen? So I can just share my presentation.
Sharing screen is Natalie will give you permission.
Thank you.
Simon.
Yep.
In order to share screen, you have to log in as a panelist.
Okay.
Which I think you have.
Yeah, I don't have the options.
Give us 2 minutes quickly. Go to webinar isn't something that I'm the most competent at, but let me just see what we can do here. Hold on a second.
So while we're waiting for that, let me start and I'll just cover the basics and then I'll catch up with the slides afterwards, if that's okay. Okay. Well, let me start and just quickly explain where we fit in and what we've been doing over the last couple of years and what Autodesk believes is the future for education. So actually, a year ago, last week, I was asked to spearhead an education program across emerging Europe, Middle East, and Africa. This was a very interesting project for me because it was one where we looked at you know, education requirements and the Autodesk product offering and how we can capitalize on the technologies that we've got and where we can help educators empower themselves so that they can empower students. And I think where we come from is the concept of future skilling. And our mission statement for this was we want to future skill every student in Africa so that when they enter the workplace, they have the relevant skills that that industry is asking of them. And that to us was really important because when we were talking to our end user customers, they were telling us, Simon, you know, or BAKERBAYNES, we're really battling. We're getting students coming out of university, coming out of Technicon that do not have the relevant skills to be able to enter into our businesses, and we're having to spend an inordinate amount of time retraining people and students. Okay, so what we then looked at is a program of how we can help universities, help educational institutes be able to actually address this problem. And what we found was that the best way to do this was to look at empowering educators and making sure that educators would be able to train the products, feel comfortable enough in the technology that they can present this to their students and they are able to understand where this technology is going to be able to take them. So what we did is we created a structured institutional package that included training, skills transfer, lesson plans, classroom activities, and everything else that you would require for it. We also implemented a program where we gave free software. So Autodesk over the last couple of years has been already offering free software to educational institutions and to students. So what we want to do is to make sure that every student in every classroom and every educator has access to the full range of Autodesk's products and services. So this is not a cut down version or a student version of the technology. It is exactly the same technology that they will be able to use on the job site. So when we started this program, we had a couple of ways of getting these licenses, but we created this and we've been working to deliver a package solution where universities and schools are able to access these licenses and software. On top of that, we've partnered with companies like CADLearning, BAKERBAYNES, and many of our other reseller partners across the continent and into Middle East and into Europe, where they deliver training on our behalf to the universities or even sometimes to the students themselves, because when it becomes deep subject matter experts are required, our partners are well geared to do this and can help the educational institutions to do that. Then when we break it down, we look at three things. We look at the learning, the assessment, and the application of these skills. And one of the things that we learned was that our customers kept on asking us, our end customers, the design companies, the agencies out there kept on asking us and saying, how do we know that these students are trained and certified properly? So we have student certifications, and we have implemented a student certification program and an educator education program so that you as an educator become an Autodesk certified instructor and your students can become Autodesk certified users. I just want to check, have you been able to sort out
So what I'm going to suggest that we do, you have to log in as a panelist. If you just check your email, you'll see the info there for you to be able to share your screen with GoToWork now. It's one of the prerequisites. Why don't you quickly log in? What we'll do is we'll go to Natalie's following slide, which actually has the list of the Autodesk software, and then we'll just come back to you when you've logged back in as a panelist. You've got everything is on your email, and it's
will do. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So sorry about that, everyone. But it's just how things happen and we roll with it. So Simon's going to be logging out and logging back in. If you wouldn't mind, go to the next slide. And Simon was making reference to the Autodesk list of products that's available. And okay.
There we go. Perfect. All right. Thank you, everyone. So yes, there are a number of products that are available to you as an educator. There's about 47 products available. You of course need to just check your eligibility, and you will have a year's access to these products. But I just want to highlight the hero products that are available to you as an educator and an educational institution, and that would be Revit, Inventor, Civil 3D, AutoCAD, and then of course Navisworks. And like I said, there are 47 other products that will be available to you. You would just need to you can go onto Autodesk Education and Student Access website in order to look at more information. All right, so I'm just going to carry on with the presentation and take you guys over and explain what CADLearning is. So we have a phenomenal learner management system called CADLearning that is centered around Autodesk software. What's great about CADLearning is it is a learner management system, but when you look at a learner management system, what is that? It's software that's e-learning and that involves training, but it's more than that. A learner management system can focus on your skill gaps, management, assessment appraisals, document and track, maintain your records, plan and execute, and then of course record all of that in data and information. So it's so much more than just a training and e-learning platform. Some of the main features to highlight about CADLearning. It's centered around Autodesk, of course, Autodesk Software, but it is an Autodesk authorized publisher. And the content that it has on the platform is over 40 different Autodesk products. We have two main options, Enterprise and a single license option. You can use Autodesk Training to upgrade your Autodesk knowledge. You can use CADLearning to build customized learning paths. You can benchmark your teams and your students. You can create assessments and playlists for them. The students will have access to this 24/7. It only takes about 20 minutes a day. And of course, it will help with, you can also align it with Autodesk certification preparation. You can use it to conduct Autodesk user assessments. So again, going back to all of the hero products, Revit, Inventor, all of that, you can assess your students on those products. You can also identify the best candidate for the position, and then of course it's only through BAKERBAYNES, and the subscription price that we have has gone down by 75%. So I'm just going to go over our Autodesk Authorized Training Center. So we do offer an Autodesk Authorized Training Center here at BAKERBAYNES, and what that entails is that we have our CADLearning, which is our blended learning approach, involves the blended learning approach with our online self-paced training. We also have a specialist series when it comes to some of the hero products. We help with customized workflow training, and then of course we have hands-on project-based training. And we really do focus on customized learning curriculum, as well as, as you can see, we offer Revit, Inventor, Bolt. When it comes to Autodesk certification, we just want to go over quickly, what it all entails. We offer the Autodesk Certified Professional certification here at BAKERBAYNES. You require about 400 to 1,200 hours of relevant software experience, which we do help you and assist you to get to. So why should institutions offer certification? It helps you really diversify your curriculum, and what that does is obviously it strengthens your curriculum, and that will make you stand out from competing institutions. When it comes to your lecturers in your institution, why should they certify? It can definitely help your lecturers upgrade their Autodesk knowledge. And then, of course, it will help them when they need to improve student support and then add value to their department. And when it comes to your students in your institution, why should a student have an Autodesk certified qualification? First of all, we can help them learn in their own way. So we can help them come up with their own learning paths and identify their knowledge gaps and help them focus on that. But of course, it will also jumpstart their careers. If students are future ready and industry ready, organizations are looking for graduates that already have these tick boxes and this knowledge, so that they don't have to invest a lot of money training them and upskilling them to the industry standards. So if they've already got this on their CV, they already have a leg up as opposed to all of the other students that don't have a certification. So what do we offer here?
I was just going to say, Nats, I think Simon's back on, so maybe we must bounce over to him.
Perfect. All right. I am going to just unmute myself and we will carry on with this just a bit. Just give me a second.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm just trying to work out how to share my screen now. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Are you guys able to see my presentation?
We are. Well, actually, I can see a whole bunch of slides. But yes, so just pop it into presenter mode.
Yeah, sorry, it was in, and it's managed to pop itself out again. Okay, thank you very much. So, and apologies about the technology challenges when I started, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to catch up from where we are. So, when everything I've covered so far, and Natalie did a really good job of explaining how CADLearning can apply and sort of what certifications BAKERBAYNES can offer. So I will skip over a few things, but how we want to be able to support you and how we've built our programs is to support in three main areas: learning, assessment, and application. So when I talk about learning, and I've spoken a lot about this, it's the free access to the software so that students are able to access and use professional grade tools. And then on top of that is our learning resources and our access to learning resources. So CADLearning is one of our providers. They provide technology and they provide really good training content, but there's also fundamental resources that are available to you through autodeskacademy.com. And we are able to help you start on your journey to learning about our product. So these are structured course curriculum that can be used as individuals or in a classroom for delivering the content. Then, of course, once students have finished learning, and Natalie did speak around this, it's the assessing of those students. So we have taken a lot of time and we've built Autodesk certifications, and the certifications are not only around a product, but specific to an industry. So as you can see here, we have Autodesk construction certifications with the Revit products, manufacturing, the creative arts and media in terms of Maya and 3ds Max. And then, of course, we have our AutoCAD, which is our general certification for AutoCAD, and then our Inventor certified users. So these are industry accepted accreditations that will really help to put your students on that level that the industry will be able to get in and take them on. We then have different levels within each of these products. So as you enter into Revit, you can then specialize into an architectural design, a structural design, electrical design, or mechanical design, the same for Fusion and all of other technologies. So what we've been trying to do is to ensure that we're meeting the demand requirements of our customers and the end users by giving students relevant accreditations. So the last bit of this is how do we apply these skills? And how do we make sure that we've assessed them correctly, now they've got projects to work on, and that they're able to take these into the real world? And this is where our partnership with World Skills comes in. World Skills is basically the Olympics for nerds, and it's an open platform where students can engage across the world. There are 85 member countries, and as you can see, South Africa and Namibia are part of this region. There are over 100 million students worldwide in this program, and the great thing about this project is that students can showcase their skills in over 70 different skills categories. They have a program where they have an international competition. This international competition moves around the world, and I'm really excited to tell you that as of tomorrow, this competition starts in Namibia, in Walvis Bay, and they'll be running it there. And what World Skills have done is they've built out skills packages based on our products and our customers' requirements. So you'll see that we have all of these packages done. So for instance, if you unpack one of these packages, which would be a digital construction skills package, you will see that we have 30 steps plus of training videos, explanations, BIM execution plans, practical data models, and everything has already been built out for the students and the student teams to work on. The benefits of this is that it covers not just what they're going to learn around how to use our products, but what our customers are asking them to do in a real world environment. And the beauty of this program is it can be built into your curricula and can be used to drive student engagements. Because this is a global program, the competitions, there's some great funds and great prizes. So I would suggest that everyone gets involved and understands how they can participate in World Skills. What we've also got is we have a learning center. It used to be called Autodesk Academy. It has now been changed to the Learning Center, the Autodesk Learning Center. And in the Learning Center, we have a lot of information around our new age technologies, around the cloud technology, and this is where we're moving to the digitization of the construction space. And of course, we've already done this in the manufacturing space, but in the construction space, this is where the future of this business is going. And here is where students and educators can find information about these technologies and all these platforms, and to understand how they can engage us in their classroom. The good news is that as of our Q2, which starts in May, the Autodesk product that you see below, the Docs, Collaborate, Takeoff and Build, will be available to universities in South Africa as well. Okay, so what are the next steps? What I'd like to do, and I'd like to tell you this is the first time we'll be showing this, but what is a really interesting program for us is to help prepare students for the future. We're actually going to be launching a new program called The First Steps in Your Career. This program is going to be running in Turkey, South Africa, and Egypt. In fact, the Turkish leg has already been completed, and we saw that there was a huge demand and uptake from students into this program and educators as well. So the concept here is we are looking to empower students to understand what companies are looking for, what recruiters are looking for, what people that are working in these roles are doing. So this program will include 4 key speakers. One will be from a talent agency that sources staff for the manufacturing sector. In this case, we will have a company owner, we will have a user of in a manufacturing program, and we will have a professional coach writer. Students can then opt into this program, and they will be able to learn new tips and tricks, attend professional seminars, and learn those very important soft skills. So interview techniques, CV presentation, and last but not least, we are also looking for mentors that will be joining us in this program to help mentor the students that will be a part of it. So this program will be kicked off early in May in South Africa. So you guys are the first to hear about it, and we're really excited to kick this off. So that's all my slides. Thank you, guys. Can I give back to the BAKERBAYNES team?
Thank you, Simon.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Simon. All right, so I'm going to just share my screen and carry on where we left off. Just give me a second. All right, so we were discussing Autodesk certification and what we offer here at BAKERBAYNES. When it comes to architecture, engineering, and construction, we offer, Revit architectural design, AutoCAD. We've got Revit for mechanical design, Revit for structural design, and then of course we also have Revit and then Civil 3D. Then when we jump into product design and manufacturing certification, we offer Inventor for mechanical design, CAM, and then we've got AutoCAD and then design for manufacturing. All right, so at this part of the event, we are going to be jumping into our think tank discussion, where we will be asking a few questions. So please, if you want to, please engage and answer some of the questions. I'm going to be handing it over back to Richard. He will take.
Thanks very much, Natalie. So I hope that you can all hear me. I think I had put my camera on, but I don't know what's happened with that now. So anyway, you're not here to listen. You're not here to look at me. We're here to chat. I'm really keen, firstly, to just take the temperature from the room. What is your experience with Autodesk? I know that we have, I'm going to start by asking Leon, because Leon, I know you've had quite a long experience with Autodesk, if you don't mind. Would you mind maybe just sharing with us what your experience from an Autodesk perspective is? Don't forget to unmute your microphone. Leon, are you still there? Actually, we have, I think what we're going to do is we're going to unmute everyone, and you guys should just be able to unmute yourselves. If you want to maybe just put some commentary in the chat box.
All right. Can you hear me that side? Testing one.
Loud and clear. Sorry, Leon.
Okay, no problems. Yeah, well, thank you for the forum. I'm Leon. You've got the right Leon, I hope. Leon Pinar from Tshwane University of Technology, Department Architecture and Industrial Design.
Yes, we have the right Leon. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. I don't know who else is here today on the academic side from the other universities across South Africa, and it is.
Well, I can tell you, Leon,
yeah.
we've had registrations from the Central University of Technology in the Free State. So maybe if when you share and you comment, if you can all just introduce yourselves. We had registrations from Central University of Technology, Free State, Gatsebanda TVET College, Goldfields TVET College, University of Johannesburg, Walter Sisulu University, Central Johannesburg TVET College, and TUT Tshwane.
Okay, all right. So it's quite a couple, and yeah, I would like to just say hello to all my colleagues across the country. Right, yeah. So I've been working with Autodesk for quite some time. From the word go, from when it was, I think the first strategies from Autodesk was a Autodesk student university. And yeah, from there, where I was still working at Tux, and then now I'm sitting there at Tshwane University of Technology. And the process that or the experience that we have, we try to get our students, or the philosophy we have in the school is the design, model, and make. So it's embedded in architecture, but also the industrial and making a product at the end of the day. So we challenge our students in that regard, and then taking the ecosystem from the Autodesk student education platform. They all register there, they all tap into those resources. They're a bit outdated, but we go with the punches as you guys update the course content as the software updates and clicks over per year. And then we also try to, I think the main challenge there, I think somebody muted me. Anyway, sorry.
Sorry.
I'm back again.
We're actually trying to unmute everybody, but you know.
Oh, I see.
It's successful.
So just sort of in a nutshell, we try to also keep our students up to date. That's also one of the main challenges on the, you could say maybe the nuts and bolts side, is to keep the students updated with the newest Revit platform or whatever Autodesk software, as the licenses need to be stepped over from year to year. So yeah, that always a bit of a challenge to download the 6 or 8 gig files for especially students that don't have those data available to them in the lockdowns scenarios. But we also have a computer lab to assist them to get to the technology. So sort of like a step over each year from 2021 to 2022, and as we go, that we can run a whole year with one version with all the students, because as we know, Revit is not upward compatible. It's got its little issues there. So everybody, all the students, if they want to work together in one project, needs to be in the same sort of version level. Yeah, I don't know if that answers some of the questions.
No, that does. Thank you. I just want to try one more time to unmute everyone so that you have power to unmute so that you have the chances to unmute yourselves. The next thing that I want to know is from those organizations who are currently looking at incorporating Autodesk but maybe haven't done that yet. If you maybe want to, if there's any of those people in the group, maybe pop something in the chat box and then I'll know who to unmute. The reason why we're wanting to understand this is because we're wanting to see, are there organizations that are wanting to make use of Autodesk software but don't necessarily know how to start. Is there anyone like that? Let's start there. Stella, I can see you on mute. I can see you off mute. Do you have anything that you want to add?
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I missed the question that you just raised now.
Stella, tell me, which organization are you with, and which education institution are you with, and do you make use of Autodesk software?
So I'm with CUT.
Okay.
Yes, so currently I'm lecturing construction.
Okay. And tell me, when you lecture construction, Stella, do you have Autodesk software that your students make use of? Did we lose Stella? No, she's still there. Hello, am I in a vacuum? Oh, Stella must have just lost internet connection because it looks like she's gone offline. I think what we're going to try and do is let's maybe ask Palesa. Palesa, do you make use of Autodesk software?
Hello?
Hi, is that Palesa?
Yes, yes.
Hello, Palesa. Which education institution do you represent?
Currently at Goldfields TVET College.
Okay, and do you guys make use of Autodesk software and the curriculum material at Goldfields TVET?
Yes, we do have AutoCAD.
Okay, and what's your experience been?
It's a bit difficult, especially with the fact that, remember, it's just a thing for the learners for 1 year. So the fact that every year now they need to renew their things. And also, I think even with me, I've struggled having that. I've been using this since I was a student. So from the time I moved from being a student, having to get licensed, it's quite difficult for me to get licensed to use Autodesk.
Why is it? Help me understand why. What difficulties are you experiencing?
Because remember, when I was a student, I was under the institution, right?
Yes.
Now, when I got done with my studies, now that means me having to have my own product key after I finished my trial.
Correct. An educator license.
At that point, I was not an educator. So it's one thing I've had a problem with the Autodesk. So I had a problem with having to do my practices and stuff with that because I was not an educator. So which is something that even my students have a problem with.
Okay, all right. So, but the students can get their own software though. You're aware of that, right?
No, I was not aware of that. I thought once they leave, they're also going to have that trouble of.
Okay, all right. So, so you can see that you have got you have the ability to get student licensing for yourself. I just want to try to unmute Simon because Simon, I have unmuted you. Well, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Yeah, so just to answer the question, what we've moved to an institutional license. So what I would suggest that the Goldfields TVET does is Natalie shared a link in the beginning. The institution signs
Hold on. Let's try and get Palesa on. on mute. Alexa, I'm just gonna mute Alexa. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. And what happens is once Goldfields is set up as an institution, you will then be given, there's a couple of different levels, but the basic entry level for an institution, you get 125 student licenses and education licenses. And you will get an administrator that can allocate those licenses. And it's a really simple process once it's been set up. The educator or the admin person can log in and just using the student's email address, you can allocate licenses to them. The students then can download and install that software directly from it. So hopefully we've made it a lot easier for people to access the licenses and to make sure that the students are obtaining legal student licenses and that there will no future issues. We did move from a 3-year license to a 1-year license model because it's now much easier for us to manage it. And if you are able to set up your students correctly in the portal, add them in, give them access to the products, every year you just renew your portal and your students will then get new access as they go forward. So hopefully that'll make your life easier, but that is definitely how I would suggest you go about accessing the software.
Thank you, Simon. I want to ask Dineo. I think, okay, Dineo. Dineo, would you mind telling me which organization are you from? Do you have experience with Autodesk software? You are off mute, Dineo. Maybe Dineo popped out to get something to drink. So Dineo, I'm going to go on to somebody else in the audience. If you wouldn't mind, maybe just popping something in the chat box if you can hear me and you're not able to get to your computer. Let's see, Stella, you're back, but for some reason I'm not able to see your microphone. Maybe let's try listening to Lorato. Lorato, which education institution are you from? Lorato, right. Lorato, tell me, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, good day everybody. I am Lorato Ntie. I am lecturing the BIM softwares for the University of Johannesburg Doornfontein campus.
Welcome.
So my first comment or disclaimer is that students will always say they don't know, even when they get to the industry. My experience, they do AutoCAD in first year, and by the time they get to final year, I was doing Civil 3D with them, and Revit, and they wouldn't remember anything, and I just always have to go back and recap AutoCAD with them. Although they didn't do the AutoCAD with me, because I'm sure they will remember, but by the time they get to final year, they like, look, they don't remember anything, so they just. But I find that even when they get to the industry, some of the things they'll just say they don't know because they just study to pass.
That's a very good point.
So that has been my experience. Yes.
Now tell me, Lorato, I'm curious. University of Johannesburg have some interesting things happening with regards to BIM, if I'm not mistaken. Can you share any of that?
Yes. With regards to?
With regards to building information modeling. If I'm not mistaken, you guys are you're setting up something quite exciting, or am I mistaken?
Yes, I know the other department from the main campus there are, but I don't have much information because I'm only part-time there. I'm not full-time. So yeah, I'm only with the civil engineering department. at the Doornfontein campus. So I'm not at the main campus, so I don't have much information, but yes, they are really leading the fourth industrial revolution. So it's quite exciting.
Now, I'm quite curious, what challenges have you had, and are you making use of everything that's available to you from an Autodesk perspective?
Yes, we are. The challenges that I faced, because I started there in 2019 and then 2020, obviously COVID hit, having to do online. Most of the students, their computers were not capable enough for some of the Autodesk products. So then we had to come to, some of them had to come to campus, I think maybe about 40%. So I had to kind of learn to lecture online and live simultaneously, because some of them will be at home and then some of them will come to campus. So that was one of the main challenges that we faced. And also when I started with the Civil 3D, we were struggling to find manuals for Civil 3D. I called the Autodesk support in South Africa and they couldn't help me. And then eventually I went for a course elsewhere and they showed me the manuals that they used, and then we were able to order that. So I think, and that was one of my main struggles, just getting the material to teach with. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for your input. I can see that.
Sorry, Richard.
Yes.
I just ask a follow-up question to that.
Sure.
Would prepared lesson plans be able to help you instead of just the manual? What sort of stuff are you looking for in the classroom?
Yeah, we were looking for sort of the syllabus with the exercises, especially with Civil 3D, because you need a lot of data, like your survey data and all of that. So I still struggle even now to get those, but we've been using the fog, the white fog manuals, and they've got all of that data. But in terms of when we have to set up tests or we have to give students something to go and practice on their own, we struggle to get data that they can play around with, for lack of a better word.
In that learning center that I mentioned, we definitely do have that we can share with you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Simon. I'm just going to ask Lerato to mute yourself now, if you don't mind. Thanks, Lerato. I can see that Dineo said that they could hear us, but we couldn't hear them. So I want to try unmute Dineo once more. And Dineo, why don't you try speaking and let's see if it will work this time. So you're fully unmuted on our side, Dineo. So you might need to type, I can't hear you. So you might need to just pop something in the chat box then. I'm going to know, because we can't hear you, I'm going to pop you back on mute. But if you do want to sort of raise anything, please do put it in to the chat box. Leon, I can see you've asked a question with regards to more cloud credits, or rather, would there be more credits available for student cloud services? I'm not able to answer that directly. Simon, do you have an answer for that one?
Each student license, if I remember correctly, comes with 20,000 cloud credits. We don't limit the cloud, if I remember correctly, for students, but I'll need to double check for you. What is the requirement for doing rendering, or what are you looking for, Leon?
Yes, basically, I'm not so sure exactly. I mean, maybe it increased, but it was about 30 or 40 credits or something when they do the rendering part. Also energy analysis, that can also be a problem. And then some of the generative design stuff that I would like to do with the group on Fusion 360, if there's a limit, then you don't want to give a workshop for a week and they use up all the credits, and then when they get to their design schemes, which would be our main focus, that they can actually use this technology in the rest of the year, that they actually have enough credit to continue to use this sort of way of work. And then that sort of also practices the whole thing, or sort of opens it up for when they do go in the private sector. This is, the systems that would normally be in place, I believe.
Yeah, so let me double check that for you. If I remember correctly, the university, when you have an institution license, the cloud credits are pooled at the university level, and then students access those as required. So we shouldn't have, you shouldn't ever run out of cloud credits, but let me double check and I'll get back to you.
Thank you. Just a last note on that. We try to let the students get acquainted with the Autodesk registration system and everything like that. So I like to use, let them do the registration. I assist them. I show them how. I make videos of that, how the registration works, and assist the whole process. But every student, ultimately, I like to have their own educational license that they manage throughout their whole curriculum, because we've got 6 years extending over the whole course, so that they maintain it. We obviously will assist them, and if there's any massive issues, I'll contact Autodesk directly or BAKERBAYNES and ask for help. But yeah, so I think it's under that ecosystem. If you could check.
Yes, I will do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Most appreciated.
Thanks so much, Leon. I wanted to ask if I was actually about to ask Ernest to firstly introduce himself and just to give us a bit of background on their organization. Ernest, are you with us? Okay, we seem to have a problem there. Okay, so, from what I've been able to hear today, for the most part, the people who've attended today's session have some experience with Autodesk software, but not, I think that there's a longer journey for all of us to take still. And I think what we're definitely going to do is we're probably going to host another educational think tank in the next couple of weeks, because what I'd like to do is I'd like to have an opportunity to talk to those people who weren't able to make it to today's session, even though they did register for today's session. So, we had scheduled an hour for today's session, so I'd like to bring it to a close because I want to be respectful of everyone's time. And I'm very grateful for all of the engagement and the discussion that we've had so far. So really just from a conclusions perspective, right, so from what we've learned today is basically that there is definitely software available for educational institutions, but it's important to understand that there's software at institution level and there's also software at student level. And as Simon references in terms of the educational credits, those credits are most likely pooled at enterprise level or the educational institution level. So there are some variances in terms of the way the licenses happen. Also from an education institution perspective, you do have access to a lot of tools. We could help from a CADLearning perspective, but that isn't free. But there's a lot of other free pieces of information and content that are available at educational institution level. If we have a look at the lecturers and academic staff level, there's definitely content available from an assessment perspective. We could also help from training, in terms of training you as lecturers. And there are curriculum improvements that Simon has already referenced. And then lastly, from a student's perspective, we know that if students wanted to attend more in-depth training, they could. If they wanted to become Autodesk certified, they could. And this is really just about making them future ready. But I think it was Lorato who mentioned, students will always say that they don't know something. And actually, given my days at Damlin 20 years ago, I'm kindly reminded that she is right. And students will always say that they don't know something, which I think is quite funny. I think from our perspective, there are some things that we'd like to ask you to consider in terms of a call to action from today. The first is about getting access to the Autodesk software, and I think it was the lady from the Goldfields TVET College who mentioned that she wasn't aware that it was Palesa, if I'm not mistaken. She wasn't aware that there was software available from an education institution perspective. Please tell your friends. We get inquiries for education institutions, not often, but we get inquiries wanting to pay money for the software. You don't have to pay for it. It is free, both at education institution level and at student level. So we encourage you to make use of that investment from Autodesk. The next is we encourage you to make use of your free CADLearning trial. If you haven't had a CADLearning trial before, you will be allocated one from attending today's session. If you have had one before, it is difficult for us to reallocate one to you, but ultimately have a chat to Natalie and see what we can do to let you have an opportunity to explore the learning content that's available for CADLearning. Thirdly, engage with your institution to identify the problems. I'm highly cognizant of the fact that many of you attending today's session might need to go back and talk to other people in your environment, talk to maybe, if you're not the HOD, maybe you need to talk to the HOD. If you are the HOD and you need to talk to the dean, you probably need to go and lobby with some people in your institution to help figure out what are the other problems that you have in implementing the Autodesk solution. Natalie is the right person to talk to from our side. So once you've engaged with your institution and you're ready to get in touch with us, then make contact with us, and Natalie will help get you access to the Autodesk software and get you access to whatever information you might require. We understand that from I've lectured briefly in my life, and we understand that it's a complicated space to be in. You have parents who expect X for their children, you have students who expect Y from their marks, you have education institutions who have certain requirements and quotas, and it's a difficult environment to exist in. Ask yourselves the question, what does my department need to do to get up to speed? And then make contact with Natalie on the or on the contact information on the screen. We are going to be hosting a session like this in the next few weeks, so watch out for our social pages. And if I could ask, if you did attend today's session, but you think that there's somebody else in your educational institution who should be attending, please do pass the invitation on to them and make sure that they attend. This is a long road, but it's a journey that I'm excited to take with all of you. I'd like to thank all of you for attending today, and I'd like to thank Simon for his time, and I'd like to thank all of you for your patience with our technology challenges. But if there's nothing else, I'm going to close today's session. We're a little bit over time, but thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.